Welcome back. So bear with me. I am not feeling good in the slightest. This was going to be posted last night, but I have been throwing up this whole night and this whole day. So I figured I might as well make my day somewhat productive since I didn't go into work. But Vultures won. It has officially been over a month now. I said that I would be making a follow-up video, and here we are. And what I thought was going to be a time where the dust had settled and that the controversy would stop, it has actually become the opposite. Not really when it comes to the controversial remarks, but of how big this album is kind of still being received and the numbers that it's still generating. But on the kind of critic and general score side, it has gone down. However, I do feel like that's kind of a symptom of reviewers and critics, fan bases kind of hounding over the album of the year to drop down these scores ever since the bigger review channels have dropped their reviews. So a critic score of a 42. That is considerably low. I did not chart the critic reviews out about 1 month ago because nothing was out at the time. But the user score has dropped down even more to 55%. Now, when I did this review a month ago, it was at 72. So this album's rating has dropped down pretty big. I don't think it's going to drop down any more than it is now. If it drops down to a 50, I would be quite surprised. Although if Vultures 2 does officially release, and if it is going to be the case where it releases for $20 on the Yeezy website, you may have some review bombing happening to this album on the Album of the Year website. So the first week sales at the time was 70K, which kept it at number one. Second week sales, however, brought it to 75K. So it sold better in the second week than it did the first week. There was Yeet at the time. Yeet was probably the biggest competition in that second week, but Vultures managed to outsell it just by a little bit more. So this album is still getting heavy amounts of rotation from a lot of people. And the biggest story probably to come out of it is Carnival. So Carnival is doing incredibly well. This is probably the most recent single that I can think of that Kanye is pushing incredibly hard, and it has worked. It is number one on the Billboard Hot 100. This is, I believe, according to the stats, Kanye has now had a number one song across 3 decades, which is nothing to scoff at. That is a great achievement. Not going to discount it. This is Ty Dolla $ign's second number one song, the first one being Psycho with Post Malone, and it is Playboi Carti and Rich the Kid's first number one song, period. So all around, this song has kind of become a phenomenon. It's become really the biggest talking point and the biggest shining moment of this album. Some people are calling this song of the year. And while I have grown on this track, we'll get into my discussion of the album. So in my first video, or my video after my Vultures 1 reaction, I said that I listened to the album about 4 times in a row, and then I stopped, thinking that I really experienced all that I needed to out of those 4 listens that I did in the same day. I thought I got everything out of it. I thought I was going to get all the thrills and all the experience that I was going to get out of it. And when I was returning to it for the past couple of days, it still kind of rings true to me that you only need to listen to this album a few times to kind of understand what's going on here. But I will say some tracks have grown on me, and some tracks have gotten considerably worse. The ones that have grown on me quite a lot, surprisingly, is Vultures, the title track. The big reason for that is the Havoc version. The Havoc version, the instrumental, has made it so much more bleak, has made it sound much more nocturnal, and maybe it's the music video that's AI generated that made it all just kind of make sense and all just work. But this sound, that darker, kind of more demonic kind of feel to this song with that Havoc version has made that song considerably better. I only listened to that version. That's probably one of the best versions of Vultures that you're going to get. Another two tracks that I really like is Stars and Keys to My Life. Particularly Stars, I do like how kind of gospel inspired it is, and I like kind of these almost like these swells of almost these orchestral feelings, like elements towards the latter portion of the song. And I think Ty Dolla Sign's contribution is really nice. And Keys to My Life is another good one where it has like that the easy song with the game kind of transition towards the second half. And I do like Kanye's performance on there, and I feel like the lyrical content about having another child as the end goal, it's just kind of really, it's something almost like a wholesome moment, kind of like what Talking was when I did my first reactions of this album. But with that being said, there is some songs that have grown really poor. One of my favorite songs was Hood Rat, and I was puffing on Zooties with that one because man, that song is bad. I did not realize how terrible the mix on that song is. The Hood Rat back and just the repeating Hood Rat, Hood Rat, Hood Rat, Hood Rat. It's good for maybe the first 30 to 45 seconds, but once you continue on with it, not to mention with Ty Dolla Sign just wailing his brains out, it just it sounds the sound is clashing together. The mix is very poor, and you don't really get anything distinctive. It's just a wall of noise, and it's not the best sounding wall of noise to put with it as well. Paperwork. Kanye's first singing portion on this song is so bad, and you would almost want an auto-tune Kanye on this one, but I feel like on my first listen I was a lot more forgiving, but Paperwork, man, does it sound bad in the beginning. It does pick up once the sample comes in, but even still, I think the mix is still so loud and so kind of just compressed that it's really hard on the ears, and it really kind of drowns out everything else in the song. It's just kind of a back and forth mix of that some songs have grown on me, some songs have grown worse. Another big thing with this album is that Good Don't Die is officially not even on this album anymore, which from my first video was my favorite song on this album. So immediately it's losing points because I really liked that track. I liked how kind of meditative it was, how kind of a slow burn it is, and that combination with Good Don't Die and Beg Forgiveness. Now it's kind of going into right into Problematic and into King, which King is still pretty lackluster closer to this album, and it's another issue where the mixing is just off. And I know there was some rumors that the mixing was going to get fixed on Vultures 1 at some point, but even still, I feel like it's just, we're a month out. I don't think that's going to happen. So I started on this album, I think it was around about a 7 on Vultures 1. It dropped down to about a 6 once I returned to it after a couple of videos in. Now I'm at to the point where I'm kind of falling into the 5 out of 10 territory, and I think that's where it's going to stay. I don't think this album is going to get any worse, or I don't think this album is going to get any better. There is moments on here still. You have Burn. You have songs like Fuck Some. Fuck Some is a banger. I love that song, actually. Back to Me still has the great Freddie Gibbs feature, and I liked Carnival upon first listen, but now it's starting to get to the point where I'm actually liking it quite a bit more. And it's kind of just a fun track, and I honestly think everyone kind of delivers. Everyone brings a good performance, and the beat is insane. So I think there's some songs that have grown on me, but there are some songs that, man, they just stink. So overall, I think a 5 out of 10 is fair. That's where I'm going to stick with it. Vultures 2, I'm going to have to hear from other people first to see if the $20 is really warranted, if that is what's going to happen. If the $20 is warranted to listen to Vultures 2, I will listen to it, and I'll give a full review. As much as Kanye has really rubbed me the wrong way when it comes to the personal side of it, the music side of it, I'll always be interested in because it's Kanye West. We're never not going to be interested in Kanye West musically. But I still believe that artists should get paid and should be compensated a lot more than they are nowadays, especially with streaming and how minimal artists get paid for their quality and their art, I'll still put up the $20 if it's worth it. So we'll see where we kind of take it from here. But thank you for watching. This has been a month later of Vultures 1. So stay tuned for some more content, and I will talk to you again soon.